Once 3 measurements are complete, the measurement data are shown on the display. Microlife, a partner for people, for life.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, welcome to C Results. I'm Ms. Nyla and today you're joining me for ELA and creative writing. Of course, we're going to start off today's session with ELA in the first hour, and in the second hour we're going to have creative writing. I want to say welcome to all our viewers, and a special welcome to all our new viewers, right? Whether you are joining us live via the C Results live Facebook stream or the IBN TV 8 live stream as well on Facebook, or right here with us on channel 8 or 108 IBN TV. So welcome guys, I hope that you all had a great day. You're maximizing this time that you have, this extra time to help you get prepared for the SE exam, as you know, and we still on the date of April 2nd for SE exam, and so we are going with that until further notice. Regardless of what the date is, we are still getting ready and using the time that we have left, to complete section 2 of the ELA paper. So our new viewers, if you're not familiar, we have been, we started this initiative last November. So far we have over 80 hours of, information provided for you. Here we have ELA, creative writing and mathematics every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Right, all our videos are on our C Results page on Facebook, so just click on that videos tab and there you will find all our videos. And better than that, on our YouTube channel as well, you can subscribe to C Results, and of course the videos there are labeled, right, so it's a bit easier for you to find. So whatever content you are looking for, whether you're looking for the spelling task or grammar, punctuation, where we completed poetry and graphic as well, right, they are all there. Easy for you to find, and of course all the topics that Sergio has covered in mathematics as well, right? And last but not least, we have our Edmodo class, which we're going to share a bit more information on a little later in the program, right? That's our educational app where students can participate, taking the quizzes for mathematics, ELA, and creative writing every week based on the content provided. Okay guys, so we're going to get started with comprehension. Yesterday we just started comprehension section 2 of the ELA paper. So far we covered everything else on that paper, and this is the last of it. Now, if we have extra time leading up to the SE exam, like I promised, we are going to do some practice papers. But for now, we are looking at fiction and non-fiction comprehension passages. Yesterday we touched on one fiction and one non-fiction. So today we are going to follow that pattern where we are going to start with a non-fiction passage. Right, so after we read the passage, we're going to read it together. After reading it, we're going to open the lines for you. Right, callers, these numbers will be on your screen at that time. And we welcome all calls, right? Students call, participate, give us your answers. Yeah, so we're going to start off with this passage entitled Plastics, right? It's a non-fiction, right? So this is based strictly on facts, very informative as well, right? So you should take away something from this at the end of reading it. Right, so plastics is one of the most important materials in our modern world. Our cars, clothes, homes, appliances, sports, and medical equipment, and food packaging all depend on plastic components. Plastics have become so popular and widely used because it can be molded into any desired shape. It is cheap compared to other materials, and it is also stronger. Despite these advantages, however, there are some important reasons we should think twice about using plastics. Firstly, toxic chemicals are released into the atmosphere during the production of plastics. Secondly, plastics cannot easily be degraded, so they are harmful to the environment. When burnt, they give off toxic gases which damage the atmosphere and contribute to global warming. In addition, more than 3/4 of the plastic trash end up in landfills and the natural environment, where further harm is caused. Plastics buried in soil can release a toxic chemical which mixes into the ground and makes the soil harmful for agriculture and human use. These toxic and poisonous chemicals can also mix with groundwater, which makes it unhealthy for human consumption and agricultural use. Plastic garbage that ends up in our waterways and the oceans also creates problems. Most of these items keep floating on the surface of the water and prevent the sunlight from reaching the ground level of the sea. As a result, the growth of ocean plants is affected. Furthermore, huge numbers of ocean animals are killed each year from plastic pollution. Some of the main species affected include turtles, seals, and sea lions, seabirds, fish, whales, and dolphins. So I'm just going to read that line again. Some of the main species affected include turtles, seals, sea lions, seabirds, fishes, whales, and dolphins. Since it is clear that plastic has a negative impact on land, sea, and the air, we must all try to reduce our use of plastics. We can use paper bags or bags made of jute, a type of string made from plants instead. We can reuse certain plastic containers. We can also use a recycle bin and encourage others to do so. Always remember to clean up after a day out with your friends and family. It won't hurt to pick up after your neighbor as well, right? So that was the end, or this is the end here of the nonfiction passage. And like I said, right, after reading these nonfiction passages, right, you usually learn a lesson from it, right? So it's very informative and educational as well, right? So we're going to go to the questions. We're not going to reread the passage here just because of time, right? But just know that if along the way, when you're answering questions, I'm going to provide the relevant parts of the passage necessary for answering the question, right? So that's going to be a help to you. So don't worry. Okay, and before we do that, I just want to share with you, because I know some students may be wondering, well, what is jute, right? Jute was mentioned here in the passage. So, right, this is what jute material looks like, right? This bag here is made of jute, as you can see, right? Just as described, it's a string material. So if just in case you were wondering what is jute and how it can be used, right, and in form of a bag, right, this is how you can use a bag that can be recycled, yeah? So it's also very good for the environment. I just thought I'd share that piece of information with you there. Right, so now we're going to go on to the questions from our passage, or based on our passage. Right, so the first question, and of course the numbers are on your screen there. Feel free to call us and help us answer these questions. Right, first question, what is the main idea in paragraph 1? So I'm just going to hold on a couple seconds, right, and I'm going to wait for a caller. Just want to remind you guys, when you're answering your question, first thing, you ensure that you understand what the question is asking, and then proceed to answer the question. And we do have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
What's your name? Hi, caller, what's your name?
Trinidad.
Oh, nice to have you with us. Are you a first-time caller?
No.
Okay, all right. So tell me, what is the main idea in paragraph 1? And here I have paragraph 1 for you, so if you would like to reread it, take a second, and then give us your answer. That is fine.
Okay, thank you. I don't see the passage.
Okay, just really good. Zoom a second there. Can you see it now?
Still no.
Okay. Just give it a couple seconds and it's going to show up on your screen because we have it up here waiting. Is it there now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I have here is paragraph 1, right? Which is what we are focusing on for this question. So we want to know what is the main idea of paragraph 1.
Can I just reread it, please?
Sure. Can you see the paragraph on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
The main idea is about how in our modern world we usually use plastic
Right.
for our cars, clothes, homes, appliances, and daily items.
Okay, great. We'll take that answer, right? Thanks for calling. Right? So,
Okay.
So just as a caller did there, right, where she read the paragraph before she answered the questions, that's a great technique, one I always urge you to use, right? It helps you, allows you to refresh your mind about what is being asked, right? So the main idea in paragraph 1 is that plastic is one of the most important materials in our modern world. And if you would like to give examples, that's fine, but it's not totally necessary, right? And remember the mark at the bottom of the question is an indication about how much you should write as well, right? So 2 marks, you should at least write 2 lines, 3 for maximum. Yeah, so we're going to go on to the next question. From the passage, state 3 reasons that plastic are used in so many areas of our lives. Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
My name is Regan. I'm a first-time caller.
Nice to have you with us. Welcome to our SCA results class, right, or C results class. So tell me, right, from the passage, state 3 reasons that plastic are used in so many areas of our lives.
You can go back to the passage, please.
Sure.
So we could use plastics for our cars, appliances at home,
Right.
medical equipment, and clothes.
Okay, great. Right, so thanks so much for calling, and we'll take that answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, so of course that was more than 3, but it's great that you were, right, and I just looked at the question for a second there, and I realized the passage, from the passage, say 3 reasons. So the key word there was reasons, right, that plastic are used. So yes, those were the uses of plastic there, right? Also, what they want to find out in this question, right, from the passage, say 3 reasons that plastic are used in so many areas, right? So the reason why we use plastic, right? Why is it so, popular? What is the reason? So the caller there gave us some uses of plastic. Remember, when you're reading your question, right, and even I a second ago, right, before I looked at this question a second time, you have to understand what the question is asking. So the reasons, and I hope the caller, you are still on with us and you're following, right? So reasons, it can be molded into any desired shape. It is cheap compared to other materials. It is stronger compared to other materials. So those are some reasons that plastic is so popular, right? Why it is used as much as it is used, rather than the uses of plastic. Yeah? Okay, what is the meaning of the word modern, right? Line 1 as used in the passage. Let's give this caller a chance to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi,
Hello?
caller. Hi, good evening. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome to See Results. Who am I speaking? Who am I speaking to?
Zachary Taylor.
Nice to have you with us. So what is the meaning of the word modern as used in the passage? And here I highlighted the word modern for you, so it's easy for you to identify.
The meaning of the word modern is common.
Common. Okay. Any other meanings you'd like to give us? When you talk about modern world,
Or read it in the context.
can you say that again?
Hold on, I just need to read it in the context.
Sure.
The meaning is natural.
Can you repeat that for me, please?
Natural.
Natural?
Yes.
Okay, no, it's not quite natural. So if we're talking about, if I say we live in modern times, right? Or technology is a part of modern society. What am I saying there? Is it something from long ago?
No.
Right. So what word can I use there to tell us about modern or the meaning?
Daily.
Can you say that again?
Daily.
I'm not hearing it too well.
Daily.
Daily. Okay. All right. Close enough. Thanks so much for calling and stay with us. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So modern, right, usually refers to the present, right? So modern world, the world that we live in now. So present or now. Anything similar to this meaning here, you will be given your mark, okay? And yes, the caller was on the right track, however, where he had to read in context to find the meaning, right? So that's a great way to figure out the meaning of your word if you are not sure, right? Or if you did not know exactly the meaning of the word before, right? Write one advantage and one disadvantage of plastics. And we have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, welcome. What's your name?
This is Aidan.
So Aidan, give me one advantage and one disadvantage of plastics.
Okay.
Okay, so just let me know when you are ready to go on to the next slide because there is additional information there that helps you with the disadvantage, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
One advantage is it is cheap compared to other materials and it is also stronger.
Great, so that's two advantages there, right? But thanks for pointing it out. Now, I want you to identify for me one disadvantage.
Okay. Yeah,
This is the second slide,
okay.
right?
And toxic chemical, and one disadvantage is toxic chemicals are released into the atmosphere during the production of plastic.
Yes, excellent job, Aidan. Thanks so much for your call.
You're welcome.
Right, so both of his answers are correct. Right, so here I have an additional slide or another slide because, of course, you can give me more than one answer. It is not limited to just one paragraph in this passage, right? But let me just read for you the advantages and disadvantages that you could have come up with. Right, so advantages, it could be molded into any desired shape. It is cheap compared to other materials. Of course, it is stronger compared to other materials as well. So any of those will be fine. And then your disadvantages, toxic chemicals are released into the atmosphere during the production of plastics. So that's one. Plastics cannot easily be degraded, so they are harmful to the environment, right? Or when burned, they give off toxic gases which damage the atmosphere and contribute to global warming. So that's three so far. They contaminate the soil and groundwater, or they pollute the oceans and affect ocean life, right? So there are a number of answers, correct answers, which you could have given. Any two, and you will be awarded your 2 marks. Remember, comprehension is an out of 20 marks. Yeah, so it's an easy 20 marks. Right? But you have to ensure that you apply the necessary comprehension skills. And yesterday we spoke a bit about comprehension skills. So if you missed yesterday's episode, where we discussed comprehension skills and some things to focus on when you are reading your comprehension passage, guys, feel free to go back and rewatch those videos from yesterday, okay? Moving on to our next question. According to the passage, what is needed for the healthy growth of ocean plants? Right, and we have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Jason.
Nice to have you with us today. So, according to the passage, what is needed for the healthy growth of ocean plants?
Okay, can you please go to the passage?
Of course. So here, This is what we are focusing on, or this part of the passage is what we are focusing on for the answer, right?
Okay. I could please read the passage, please?
Okay. Can you see from plastic here?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask for us to zoom, not zoom, but scroll along a bit to this paragraph with plastics. Right. Right.
Okay,
and I want you to focus on this paragraph here, and you're going to get your answer there, okay?
Okay. So I think the answer is sunlight. The sunlight helps the ocean plants grow.
Okay, so the answer is sunlight, right? But I'm going to just go back to the question so that you can put it in a complete sentence for me. According to the passage, what is needed for the healthy growth of ocean plants? Now, what will your answer be?
According to the passage,
right?
Sunlight
is needed
to make the ocean plants grow healthy.
Okay, excellent job. Thanks so much for calling.
Okay.
Right, so great job so far, guys, right? And I do applaud all our brave callers, right? And your willingness to learn and to try, of course. Now, the only reason, guys, parents, I know you're locked on as well, that I am focusing on only on the slide where the answer is not because I want to give the students the answer, of course, is because it's a little more feasible for me rather than have to go or have the student read 5 slides or the entire passage each time that a question is asked, okay? Just for that reason specifically, right? So I'm going to go on to the next question, or I must read my answer before, of course. Sunlight is needed for healthy growth of ocean plants, so that answer was absolutely correct. As used in the passage, to whom does the word neighbor refer, which is on line 25? As you know, in your regular comprehension passages, your lines are numbered, right? So it becomes easy for you to identify. For instance, if you have to identify the word neighbor to give us the meaning of it or to answer this question, it's easy for you to locate in your passage. You don't have to reread the entire passage, but what you do have to read is that line and the neighboring lines. Right, so as used in the passage, to whom does the word neighbor refer? Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to C Results.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
This is Aidan again.
So Aidan, to whom does the word neighbor refer? Right, so I'm just going to underline the word neighbor for you so it's easy to identify. Can you see there? Guys, can we just scroll up a bit, please? All right, we're just going to scroll up a bit so you can see that a little clearer. Okay, great. So we're just going to focus on this last paragraph here from Always Remember.
Okay.
Do you need me to go back to the question?
Like someone in your community.
Someone, okay, fine, we'll take that answer, but any other ideas as well?
After someone in your family.
Okay, well, they did mention family specifically, but we'll take the answer of that's in the community, right? Or a member of your community, right? Okay. That is not incorrect. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Right, so the word neighbor refers to other people who have spent time outdoors, right? So somebody may come to your park out of your community, right? But those are the people that we are referring to. Anybody, right, who probably occupied the same space as you and left trash or whatever it is over there. Yeah? According to the passage, what is the meaning of the word toxic? Line 13. We have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to C Results.
Evening.
Hi, good evening, welcome. What's your name?
Josiah Tigrat.
Nice to have you with us. So tell me, according to the passage, what is the meaning of the word toxic?
Toxic?
Yes, the word toxic, just as highlighted in this line here.
The meaning of toxic is like something poisonous.
Poisonous.
Human bodies or living organisms.
Excellent job. Thanks so much for calling. Right?
You're welcome.
Terrific answer. The word toxic means poisonous. Yeah, so stay away, of course. State 3 ways from the passage that we can prevent the negative impacts of plastic in our lives. Right, let's read that again. State 3 ways from the passage that we can prevent the negative impacts of plastic in our lives. We have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi.
Please.
Good evening and welcome to See Results. Caller, are you there with us?
Again, too.
Hi, good evening.
Hi,
Welcome. What's your name?
this is Aidan.
So, Aidan, state 3 ways from the passage that we can prevent the negative impacts of plastic in our lives. Right, so we're focusing on here. Can you see the paragraph?
No.
Okay, just give it a second. You'll be able to see it shortly. What about now?
No.
Okay, what are you seeing on your screen?
Still the question.
Okay, all right. We'll just give it a few seconds. Sometimes there is a little delay, right? So it will show up shortly.
Okay.
Is it there now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we want 3 ways from the passage that can prevent the negative impacts of plastic in our lives.
We must all try to reduce our use of plastics.
Right?
We can use paper bags or bags made of jute.
Great.
And we can reuse certain plastic containers.
Excellent job.
I must point out one more.
Sure.
We can use a recycle bin and encourage others to do so.
Excellent job. Thank you, Aidan.
You're welcome.
Right, so great job there. Right, gave us all the possible answers, and of course, those answers were correct. We can use paper bags or bags made of jute. Right, we can reuse certain plastic containers. We can use a recycle bin and encourage others to do so. Right. Next question. Which type of material do you think is better for the environment? Plastic or paper? Support your answer with information from the passage. We have a caller to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hello,
Hi, caller. Welcome. What's your name?
Dr. Retail again.
Nice to have you with us again. So, the first part of the question here where they say, which type of material do you think is better for the environment? Paper or plastic? Is that given in your passage?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Wait, no.
No, you're not sure? No, it was not given.
No, it wasn't given.
Okay, so can you answer that first part of the question for me, please?
The type of material I think is better for the environment is paper.
Right, now the second part says support your answer with information from the passage. Right, so I'm going to go to the passage here with the relevant part, and here you can read it through and give me the necessary evidence. So this question, guys, is based a little bit on previous knowledge and being aware of your surroundings and, you know, the use of all those materials, so glass, plastic, paper, and all of that, right? And, of course, this question specifically with paper and plastic. So, caller, are you seeing any evidence there to support that answer, that paper is better for the environment?
Yes.
Okay, share it with us, please.
Paper is better for the environment because it doesn't give out toxic chemicals into the atmosphere, and it's not harmful to the environment.
Excellent job. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, bye.
So, great answer, and of course you had to come up with that answer yourself, right? It was not literal, it was not given directly to you in the passage, right? So I think paper is better because it is easily degraded, right? So this here, any of the relevant details, any specific one that you choose will be correct, right? It is easily degraded, it does not release toxic gases when burnt, or toxic chemicals are not released during its production, or It does not release toxic chemicals when burned in soil. Any of those for your supporting evidence, and it will be correct. Right? And the final question for this passage. Do you think this passage is important? Give a reason for your answer. Right? So I'm going to wait a call to help me with this final question. And I do have a caller to help me. Hi, good evening, and welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Imran back.
Hi,
Imran.
welcome. So, do you think this passage is important?
Yes.
Okay, and give me a reason for your answer.
It's important because it tells you like what the plastic does to like harming the environment.
So it tells us about some ways
and
that
why we should stop using plastic.
Okay, great job. Thank you so much for calling. Right, and of course that answer is correct. Right, so yes, I think this passage is important as it teaches people about the harmful effects of plastic to the environment, as well as it teaches people about ways to reduce the production or use of plastics. Right, so I want to say thank you to all the callers thus far, and we're going to move on to our second passage, but we're just going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue. Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a couple seconds.
Comprehension Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split piece powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust Comprehension Limited, 665-3336.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results. If you're just joining me, welcome, especially to our new viewers, right? And of course our loyal fan base as well. We are currently on ELA, English Language Arts, and we are looking at comprehension. We just completed a non-fiction passage, and now we are going on to a fiction passage, right? So we're going to read the passage just as we did before, and then we're going to welcome callers to help us answer the relevant questions. All right, so let's get started here. Lost in the woods. Hours had passed and there was sign of any game. There was no sign of any game, though the barking continued. But Nathan was sure that Gypsy was a good hunter and could not be chasing his shadow. She was hot on the trail and really after something. With gun in hand, Nathan stumbled through the bushes, moving in the direction of the howling dog. Still, there was no sign of any game. All he could see were monkeys swinging from the branches of the giant trees in the deep woods. Just what Nathan feared was now happening. It was raining heavily. With his gun beside him, he crouched beneath the dripping branches as swift flashes of lightning lit up the dark forest and thunder cracked loudly. In the distance, he could hear the echo of the barking dog. Bow wow, bow wow. Rain poured on and on as if it would never cease. Darkness was creeping in slowly, and Nathan could now hear strange noises in the stillness of the woods. He was deeply terrified. It could be Papa Boa, misleading Gypsy. Could it be Papa Boa, misleading Gypsy? Would he and Gypsy be taken prisoners by the devil? These ghostly thoughts swirled in his head, and he was becoming sick with fear. Soon it was pitch black, and the rain was only a drizzle. In the frightening silence, Nathan stood clutching his gun, unable to move. No longer could he hear the faintest sound of Gypsy's voice. 18 hours ago, he had left his cottage home in a peaceful mountain village. Would he even return? Suddenly a light flashed before his eyes. Aha! It's Papa Boa, he thought, as his heart pounded and pounded. But no, it was not. It was a party of villagers who had come to rescue him. Nathan now began to breathe comfortably. His pale face turned into a big, broad smile as he ran straight to his little son, who was among the party of rescuers. Thank heavens, he muttered to himself. Thank heavens. It was sad, though, that they could not find Gypsy, but the villagers returned for her the following day. Right, so that was our fiction passage. Right, so now we're going to go to the questions. The numbers are going to be up on your screen any second, and there they are. Feel free to call us, guys, and help us answer these questions. Even if you're a new caller, we encourage you. Don't be shy, okay? We are here to learn. This is a learning community, and it's all about helping each other, right? So feel free to call us and, be a part of this interactive lesson, right? So the first question, who was Gypsy in the story? And let's take this caller to help us. Good evening. And we lost that one there. Good evening, caller. Are you there with us? Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results.
Hello?
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Hi.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Eric.
Okay, nice to have you with us. So tell me, who was Gypsy in the story?
Okay, nice to have you with us. So tell me, who was Gypsy in the story?
Can you hear me?
I think Gypsy is a dog.
Yes, Gypsy was a dog, right? And of course that answer is correct. Thanks for calling. Right? And it was stated there for you. Right? Gypsy was a good hunter and could not be chasing a shadow. Right? She was hot on the trail and released after something. Right? Now, how did you know it was a dog? Right? This here was key. The barking continued and so on. Right? All of that. When you read your passage, you look for clues. If the answer is not directly given there, you look for the clues that tells you otherwise. Right? So we know that Gypsy was a dog. Next question. Write an example of personification from the story. Right? Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Good evening.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Amelia.
Nice to have you with us. My first question to you, can you remind me what is personification? Do you know?
Personification.
Personification. So that's part of our figurative devices. Have you been watching the program for some time now? Or is it recent?
No.
Can you repeat that, please?
I can't do it.
Okay, so I'm going to share. Okay. So I didn't want her to go. I was going to help her, right? But let's take this other call to help us, and then I'll give you some information. Good evening, and welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
I'm Regan.
Okay, nice to have you with us. So tell me, my first question is, what is personification?
Okay. So personification is like giving something that doesn't have life, action, or doing word, or like a verb.
Okay, close enough. All right, so from the passage here, I want you to give me an example of personification. So I'm going to go to the relevant part, and you can skim through, and then you can give us your answer.
Okay, hold on. I'm just reading it here.
Sure.
So the personification is the darkness was creeping slowly.
Excellent job. Thank you so much. You are welcome. Right, thanks for calling. Right, so the previous caller, right, I'm sorry that you left us, but personification, right, is given a non-human or non-living thing, human-like qualities. Right, so now I want to reiterate how important, knowledge about the figurative devices are. Now, when we were doing poetry, we went through about 7 different literary devices, right? And we saw how, they were used in poetry. Now, you thought probably that was the end of it. Not specifically this caller, but probably some of you. But as you can see in comprehension, it is also relevant. They're asking you for sound words, sensory detail, imagery, right? In this case, personification, right? So you must be aware of what your literary devices are. It's very important that you revise them, right? Now, of course, you can go back to our previous video where we learned about literary devices and how it is used, and of course, examples, right? So please, I urge that caller and any one of you who are unsure about, the different figurative devices and how to use them, how to identify them in a passage, in a poem or whatever it is, go back and look at those videos. Trust me, guys, it's really useful, right? And you would not have this problem. Because, for instance, you get this question, and the question specifically says, give an example of personification. What are you going to write? What is going to be your answer if you do not know what personification is? And now, as a result of that, you're going to lose 2 marks if you don't guess correctly, right? So we want to avoid that. Yeah, so thanks to the last caller, and of course that answer was correct. Darkness was creeping in slowly, right? And of course, let me explain this this example here of personification just for the benefit of the previous caller. Darkness was creeping in slowly. Now this is personification because, like we said, right? Darkness here, non-living, right? So intangible, something, and we gave it a human-like quality. Creeping is associated with something human, right? So like babies, for example. So can darkness actually creep? In reality, no, it cannot. But when used in a sentence such as this, it is called personification, giving something non-living a human-like quality, right? And this is just one of the many examples that you can look at. So let's go on to our next question. Write 2 examples of imagery from the first paragraph of the story. And again, we are at sensory details and figurative language, right? The term imagery there. So let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Imran. I'm a previous caller, actually.
Okay, great. So tell me, or give me 2 examples of imagery from the first paragraph. But my first question, before you give me your answer, when you see the term imagery, what comes to mind? What are you going to talk about?
Imagery is like, when you read a line, you could picture it in your head.
Picture it or visualize it, right? So excellent. So you know what you're going to look for. So here's the paragraph, and you can skim through and then give us your answers.
All right.
Can you see the entire paragraph?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Well, the branches of the giant trees in the deep woods.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Huh?
Can you repeat your answer, please?
Yeah. All we could see were monkeys swinging from the branch of the giant trees in the deep wood.
Great. Right, so is that 1 answer or 2?
No, that is 1.
Okay, but it can be 2, right? I'm going to tell you how shortly, but go ahead, give me your next answer.
All right. Nathan stumbled through the bushes.
Excellent job. Right, so that is also correct. But right, so thank you so much for calling. Right, so Nathan stumbled through the bushes. You can picture that, right? Also monkeys swinging from the branches of the giant trees. And this last part here where we say deep woods. You can also picture what deep woods will look like. Right? So that's what I meant, that part, so that phrase can be two answers as well. Right? Of course, right, with gun in hand, Nathan stumbled through the bushes, just as we said, monkeys swinging from the branches of the giant trees in the deep woods. Right? So that answer is correct. Thank you so much for that call. So next question here. Write one phrase that appeals to the sense of hearing and one that appeals to the sense of sight from the second paragraph. All right, let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening, caller. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
My name is Zubair.
Nice to have you with us.
This is my first time calling.
Okay, great. Welcome to See Results. Okay, nice to have you with us. So I want you to give me one phrase that appeals to the sense of hearing and one that appeals to the sense of sight. All right, so from the second paragraph. So this is the second paragraph here. Can you see it?
No. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can go ahead and skim through. We're looking for one for hearing and one for sight.
Yeah.
So once again, we are seeing how sensory details are coming into play.
The one for sight?
Yes.
Is flashes of lightning lit up the dark forest and thunder.
Excellent.
And hearing is thunder crackled loudly.
Well, just cracked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent job. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
And keep it locked with See Results. Right, so for hearing, dripping branches, thunder cracked, echo of the barking dog, bow, whoa, bow, whoa. All of these are examples, right, that were relevant to hearing, the sense of hearing. And the sense of sight, flashes of light or dark forest, right? So you had some options there to choose from, one of each, and you would have been awarded 2 marks. Moving on to our next question. What is the mood of the story in paragraph 3, right? And write two words or phrases used to create this mood. So again, what is the mood of the story in paragraph 3? And write 2 words or phrases used to create this mood. Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
This is Aidan.
So Aidan, what is the mood of the story in paragraph 3? And this is paragraph 3 for you here.
The mood is frightened.
Frightened. Excellent. Right? And I want you to give me 2 words or phrases used to create this mood.
A phrase is he was deeply terrified.
Right.
And the next one is sick with fear.
Yes. Excellent job, Aidan. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Right. So the mood of the paragraph, of course, any synonym along with frightened, scared will be correct. Terrified. 2 phrases are strange noises, sick with fear, deeply terrified, or even this devil. Right. So any of those answers. That question was with 3 marks, guys. So quite a lot. So you had to ensure that you read it properly and you answer both parts of that question. Right? If you did, of course, just answer one part, then you will be awarded the mark for that part only. This question, what is the meaning of the word game, which is on line 1, as used in the story? Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Hello?
Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I'm starting to hear you.
Okay, great. What's your name?
Javen.
Nice to have you with us. So I want you to give me the meaning of the word game as used in the story. And I highlighted it for you here, so it's easy to identify. It's on line 1.
Okay. I can read the sentence, please?
Yes. I'm just inserting this here. This word was missing. No sign, okay?
Oh, okay. I think I have my answer now.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think the word game there means play.
Pray. Yes, excellent job. We will take that answer, right?
Okay.
Okay, great job. Right, so he was probably reading in context there and was able to figure out that answer. Right, so great strategy. So the word game means an animal that is hunted or prey because the dog there was searching for that animal, right? Or hunting that animal. What is the writer's opinion of Papa Bois? All right, let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. What's your name?
Faith.
Nice to have you with us. So tell me, what is the writer's opinion of Papa Bois?
The writer's opinion of Papa Boy is
What does he think of Papa Bois?
I think that he's a hunter.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that he's a hunter, misleading the dog to chase.
Okay, but what does the writer think Papa Bois is? Do you have any other ideas for the answer?
No.
Okay, but before you go, do you know about the character Papa Bois?
No.
So it's your first time hearing about Papa Bois?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you can do a little research, right? But thanks so much for calling. So guys, you know the young generation here may not know, but Papa Bois here, right? It's a legendary traditional folklore character, right? Many stories about Papa Bois. You can even ask your grandparents and your parents for a little background there, yeah? So you can probably find out about that in your spare time or probably after watching See Results, right? So the writer thinks that Papa Bois is a devil or an evil being, right? If you go back here to the paragraph, could it be Papa Bois misleading Gypsy, right? Would he and Gypsy be taken prisoners by the devil? And who is the devil here that he's referring to? It's Papa Bois, right? So he thinks about Papa Bois as the devil or an evil being, right? Next question. How did Nathan feel when he saw the villagers? Support your answer with evidence from the passage. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello?
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Josiah Seabird, I just called.
Okay, great. So tell me, how did Nathan feel when he saw the villagers?
How he felt when he saw the villagers?
Yes.
Summer.
Yes. Can you see the paragraph on your screen?
Rainbow.
Can you repeat that, please?
Is the sentence settled rainbow?
I'm not hearing you too well.
I said if it is settled rainbow.
Still not hearing you too well for some reason.
May I help you better now?
A little bit. Can you say that again for me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Is the sentence settled with tongue heavens?
Well, you can read through this. Actually, it's not. Now, that can be part of your answer, giving you a hint about how he felt. But we want to know, how did Nathan feel when he saw the villagers?
Okay.
So you can focus on the first paragraph first, and if necessary, go down to the end.
He felt relieved to see the villagers.
Excellent, right? And give me a line or supporting evidence there for that answer.
I would use thank heaven, he muttered to himself.
Excellent job. Excellent, right? Thank you so much for calling, because it shows that he is relieved, right? He's happy that he was rescued. Nathan now began to breathe comfortably. His pale face turned into a big, broad smile. Thank heaven. So, of course, this is your evidence, right? So Nathan felt relieved or thankful, right? So great job there. How would you describe the villagers? Support your answer with the evidence from the story. Let's take this call to help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Good evening and welcome to See Results. Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome. What's your name? Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's your name?
Juliana.
Okay, thanks for joining us. So tell me, how would you describe the villagers? Support your answer with evidence from the story.
I would describe the villagers as caring and kind people.
Yes, and what is your evidence to support that?
It is sad though that they could not find Gypsy, but the villagers returned for her the following day.
Excellent job. Right, so your answer is correct. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Of course, so that was correct. Great job there. The villagers can be described as kind or caring as they look for Nathan in the deep forest, right? And then, or they return the following day to look for Gypsy. So great job there, caller. Right, and let's go to the final question for this passage. What do you think Nathan should have done to avoid being lost? Write one suggestion. Right, so of course this answer has to come from you and not from the passage, okay? So let's take this call to help us. Good evening. Welcome to See Results.
Good evening.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
This is Zubair again.
Okay, so Zubair, what do you think Nathan should have done to avoid being lost?
I think, can you please go back to the passage?
Okay, sure. I'll just go back to, just give me 1 second there. All right. Any specific part, or you just want to read it through?
Just the answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I think he should have stick with the group and not go to chase down whatever he saw.
Excellent. Right, so any of that will be correct. Right.
Okay.
Thank you for calling. Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think that he should have gone with other men or a group, just as our caller said, right, who knew the way, or he should have turned back when he saw no game instead of going deeper into the woods, right? So of course, avoid being lost. Right, guys, so that brings us to the end of our fiction and non-fiction passage for today. Before we go, however, I have to mention, right, about our Edmodo class. Right, the Edmodo class, for our new viewers specifically, is an educational class where it is interactive, where Soijaz and myself, we post quizzes every week. So based on the content that we deliver every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, on a Saturday or a Sunday, we post quizzes for the relevant content. Right, now, how do you become a member of Edmodo? You simply download the app, or you go to www.edmodo.com, right? There you will be able to access it on your website, right? To become a member, you have to log in or create a password and email or whatever you choose. So the options are there for you. So do so, right? Enter the class code. Now, both students and parents can become a member of Edmodo. However, the students only will be the ones who are taking the quizzes. The parents are there to monitor their child's progress, right, on the Edmodo class. And of course, you can view the content via your child's page, right? We do encourage all students to become members, right? It's an open forum where you can post questions. And of course, there are students who enjoy communicating here. They post questions all the time, you know, asking for assistance. And they are assisted by fellow members of the group. Right, so it's an open community, like I said, for learning, as well as there are quizzes where you are marked, right, for mathematics, ALA, and creative writing. So it's, you know, it's a really good class for you to join. You should check it out, become a member, right? Our class is growing every day. We have over 600 members, right? So that's a lot. So you don't want to miss out on, you know, your chance now that you have some extra time, especially at home, where you can, of course, become a part of the Edmodo class and take part in those quizzes. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a short break. When you rejoin me, we're going to start creative writing, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Right, stay tuned for creative writing.
Audio.
Comprehension Limited, the Caribbean's largest manufacturers of plain and printed paper bags, leaders in plastic bags, vermicelli, split peas powder, and greaseproof paper, ideal for doubles, french fries, and sandwiches. Supplying stores nationwide. For quality products, trust Comprehension Limited, 665-3336.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
IBN can be viewed on the go now with the Airlink TV app for Google devices. Simply go to the Google Play Store, search for the Airlink TV app. Download the app, click on the link and fill out the form. The account activation will be emailed or texted to the user. It's safe as no credit card is needed. The first 30 days are free and you can subscribe and receive a box for your TV to stream the same content.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. If you're just joining me, welcome, and special welcome to all our new viewers. Right, thanks for joining us right here live on our Facebook stream via the C Results page or the IBN TV 8 page. Or if you're at home in the comfort of your couch, right, joining us, watching us on channel 108 or channel 8 IBN TV, okay? So welcome guys. Now we're going to get started with creative writing. We just completed comprehension a couple minutes ago, right? And now we're on to creative writing. Now, what's in creative writing? We are going to be looking at narrative and reports. Now, as you know, thus far we covered everything necessary or relevant pertaining to creative writing in preparation for the SC exam. So when we just started narrative, there was a lot to cover, talking about, you know, character and setting and then plot. Plot itself, you know, was quite a lot, but we got through it and we completed all the relevant content, right? So by the end of that, you would have learned how to write a story, you know, transitions to use, figurative language, how to use it in your story, as well as punctuation, right, capitalization, spelling, all of that was interwoven into creative writing, you know, which stemmed from the ELA, of course, section 1, the ELA paper. Now, we went on to expository or report style writing, and now we covered everything necessary as well. So with report writing, we looked at the rubric, we looked at, you know, what the criteria entails, you know, some of the things to stay away from, some of the things that we have to do in a report. As we know, report is you know, the style of writing is formal, so therefore it's a bit more strict as opposed to narrative style. So last day, and we have been doing actually for a while, we took the rubric and we assessed pieces, sample pieces, using the rubric so that students and parents, you know, will become aware of some of the things that, or some of the common errors that students make when writing either narrative or report piece. Now, the purpose of that is, of course, to draw your attention to things that, you know, you need to focus on, right, common errors, and some of the things that you need to work or improve on, right? So last day, we could just completed a report, not one actually, we completed quite a few, but what we are doing now, this point forward, moving on to the essay exam, we're going to be looking at both narrative and expository pieces using the rubric to assess them, right? So we're not going to only focus on one style of writing anymore, but because we have covered all the content for both narrative and expository, we are now at a point where we can practice our writing. Remember, with creative writing, it's a skill set. You have to master the skills, right, in order to write as the best that you can. The only way that you are going to be able, you know, to get that full 20 marks in your narrative or expository piece is through practice, guys, because By now you know all the content. Now how do you use that content, right? It's just about application and knowing or following the rubric to help you. Right now I have been telling you to follow the rubric only because the descriptors help us to understand, you know, well, what should my expository have, or what should my report have, right? So it acts as a guideline for both you and the person. So if, for instance, your parent is the person who is currently, you know, reviewing your work, marking, you know, your expository or narrative piece, they have an idea of some of the things to look at, right? So that's also what we have been doing here, and I hope that it has been working for you students and you parents, of course, right? So we are going to look at a narrative piece, starting off with a narrative piece, right? And then we are going to mark that piece, right? So just as a refresher, because it has been a while since we touched on narrative, so the narrative rubric and the expository rubric looks just about the same. What is different about it, guys? We know it's the criteria, right? So what content entails, language use, organization. The only similarity, right, or one of the similarities rather, is grammar mechanics, right? The rest of your criteria here is what differs. So you have to ensure that you know what you have to put for content and language use and organization, yeah? The highest mark that you can earn in your any one of these criterion here is 5 marks. 5 being the highest, 0 being the lowest. Of course, that's not our focus. We are aiming for the highest, right? So the bottom of your rubric, so if you have a rubric at home, you did not pay much attention to it, probably now is a good time to pull it out and read, you know, what each of these achievement levels discusses or tells you about the performance of your child, right? So for example, when you get 5 marks for content, that's because you are exemplary, you exceed the standard, right? So you're performing as best as you can, just as expected, probably even exceeds the standard here, just as the rubric points out, right? So you're on the right track. Now, if you're at the point where you are getting 2 in your content, for example, or language use, 2 tells us that you are emerging. Now, what does emerging mean? Right? Emerging means that you are below the standard and you have some work to do. Right? Now, everything is there for you. We have them on videos backed up. It's just that you have to utilize the information presented to help you. Right, guys? So let's go on to the topic today for the narrative piece. Write a story based on the following. When I moved into this new house, I discovered a secret door hidden in a room. I opened the door and could not believe what I saw. Include interesting descriptions and emotions, sensory details. Right? So let's read that topic again. It's very important when you get your topic, you read it twice. You underline keywords. Right? So when you are writing your narrative piece, you don't leave out anything that is important or specifically what the prompt is asking you for. Right? So write a story based on the following. I moved into this new house. I discovered a secret door hidden in a room. I opened the door. I could not believe what I saw. Right? So you have to include interesting descriptions and emotions, sensory details. Right? So let's go on to the story and then we'll get to assessing this piece. Now, while we are reading, pay close attention to any errors that you may come across, whether it's in content, the language use, organization, grammar, mechanics. Right? So pay attention to all of those things. So when we get to the rubric and we are assessing it, you know, to the back of your mind, well, I did see that, you know, a question mark was missing, or a comma, or a full stop, or something was spelled incorrectly, or I did not fully understand the sequence of the story, right? So ensure that you pay attention to all of those things. All right? One cool Saturday morning, I was helping my mother unpack the pile of boxes in the corner. I had first moved here 2 days ago because of my father's new job. Of course, I miss my friends and old home, but every step we take is an adventure. I quickly opened one of the boxes and sorted everything. As I looked towards the remaining boxes, I sighed and collapsed on the sofa. I was going to be up all night. At 10 o'clock in the night, I was getting ready for bed. My mother and I had put away almost everything. My father came home hours earlier and helped. After I said my prayers, I was almost halfway in my bed when I heard a noise. A small creak broke the silence. I knew my mother and father were downstairs, so where was that noise coming from? Somehow it was coming through the walls. I began to worry at what it might be. Slowly I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, my alarm clock yelled at me to wake up, shutting off the loud noise. I looked around. Everything was silent. I shook my head. It must have been a dream. I quickly got ready for the new day. I decided to explore the house a bit more. After clearing the ground floor, I went upstairs. Everything was normal. I began to head downstairs when creak, that noise I heard from last night, was emitting from the walls. It sent a chill up my spine. Was someone else inside the house? I began to investigate. I searched everywhere for the source until I came to the end of the hall. Suddenly, the noises stopped. I was running my hand along the wall when it felt something move. I pushed a little harder and what seems to be a door opened. A small stairway led into a dim room. As curious as a cat, I tiptoed down the staircase. When I came to the base, I tried to see where I was going. My hand brushed against a light switch, illuminating the room. I could not believe what I saw. In the room was a stack of toys. I had not expected this. I looked around. Paint was peeling off the walls. I slowly peeled the paint off the walls. What I saw scared me to death. Red paint resembling blood was on the wall, and it spelled, "Get out. Leave here." Just then the lights flickered off. "Ah!" I screamed. I felt as though someone was trying to grab me. I ran from there and I fell through the wall. I ended up in the living room where my parents went. They helped me up and told me to explain. I started by leading them upstairs and showing them the hidden room. They were shocked. My father investigated the paint. I scoped the toys and my mom felt the walls. It seems as though this was here for a long while. I then discovered that when my parents walked near the walls, it squeaked. It turned out to be a fantasy. I cleaned up the room, which my parents now use as storage. All that fuss for just a stupid message. It didn't scare me anymore. Nothing was wrong. Everything was all right. Okay, so I'm wondering, what are your first impressions? What are your first thoughts about this narrative piece? And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open the lines. We're going to take a couple of seconds. I would like some students' opinions about this particular piece, right? And then we're going to move on to the rubric to assess the piece. So when you're calling, and I do have a call, good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hi,
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
this is Zubair.
Okay, Zubair, tell me, right, what is your first thought after reading this essay?
Well, room is spelled wrongly.
Okay.
Some stuff I don't understand.
Like what? What do you mean, like the sequence? Sorry?
Hold on.
Yes.
The alarm clock, when the alarm clock yelled, that part.
Okay, so I'm just going to go to
Can you please go to that part?
Yes. The next morning, my alarm clock yelled at me to wake up. What is confusing you about that?
The part where it says shutting off the loud noise.
Okay. Okay, great. I believe she's referring to the alarm clock, but I understand your confusion there, right? What about the organization of the essay? Do you understand it? Is it easy to follow?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, all right. And
some parts.
Sorry?
Some parts that's a little confusing.
Right. And what about characters? Anything specific about characters you want to share?
Yeah, it has not much characterization.
Okay. And what about setting?
It doesn't have much descriptions of like the sunset and like how the day was.
There was. Okay. So she could have probably added a little more detail about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, overall, right, how much do you think somebody will get for an essay like this? What mark?
I'll say
15.
15. All right, that's a fair mark, right? Thanks so much for calling and your input on this. Right, so
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that last question, guys, it is true in that I wanted to hear his opinion, okay? Let's take another call. Let's see what this caller has to say. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hi,
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
this is Aidan.
So, Aidan, right, give me an overview of this essay. What are your thoughts?
I saw they made some grammatical errors and spelling errors.
Okay. Anything else?
And
You're welcome. So that last question, guys, it is true in that I wanted to hear his opinion, okay? Let's take another call. What about sequencing or content or characters, setting,
yeah,
anything?
they didn't describe the appearance.
Okay, so you thought that they could have described the parents a bit?
Yes.
Okay, and what about the noise that they heard? Was enough description given for that?
No, not really.
And when they discovered what it was, do you think you know that it was enough information given?
No,
they should have said.
They should have added more experience that they had in the room.
Excellent job, right? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, great job. Okay, guys, I'm just going to hold on the calls there a bit, right? And we're going to go to the rubric now, right? So, great job there, the callers. And, of course, all of you at home may have your ideas about, you know, each of the different criteria, right? And what the writer did well and some of the things that this essay lacked, right? So, let's go through it. Now, we're going to start with the descriptors here. Now, you will see descriptors and score, right? Your descriptors are everything written here with your heading being setting, character, and plot. Now, what is important about this is exactly what content is all about. When we are discussing 5 marks for content, these are the things that you must have in order to get that 5 full marks, right? For example, in setting, you must give us the time and the place of the event. As you know, with setting, when we did that topic of setting, we looked at that thoroughly in depth. I gave you tons of examples of settings for various places. So for the woods, for a beach, for a cave, for a mountain, all of those things, for your house, right? So I even gave you examples of various settings that you can use to have ideas of in your writing, right, guys? So check that out as well. So setting, time and place, character. Character is extremely important. Character in your story brings your story to life, right? It also helps us understand, you know, what is happening throughout in your story, giving us a little background, right? So in character, we're talking about physical description. Of course, you must give us a physical description of the characters in your story, or the main characters rather in your story, right? Action, right? What they are doing. Dialogue, right? Dialogue is also an essential component. Dialogue, you know, yes, that is conversation, but it helps build the character, right? Helps us understand the character a little bit better and what is going on in your story, right? Plot, exposition, rise in action, climax, fall in action, and resolution. So everything here falls under plot, right? So you must ensure that you have covered everything necessary here. So your introduction to your setting and your characters falls under exposition, your rise in action, then your climax, the peak of your story, right, where things really get interesting, then your fall in actions, you know, those steps that they'll lead to the end of your story, and your resolution, of course, that's your solution, how the problem was fixed, right? So let's go to the comments and let's take a look at what we have to say here with regards to the story, right? So the reader gets a clear sense of both time and place at the beginning of the story, right? I know we just started this, however, we do have to take a break. It's time for Maghrib Salah. So we're going to take a break, and when you join me or rejoin me, we're going to continue this. Stay tuned with us, guys. We'll be right back.
every day can save you from risk of high blood pressure. MicroLife fully automatic upper arm blood pressure monitor with stroke risk detection. MicroLife AFib screens for atrial fibrillation while taking your blood pressure. High blood pressure and atrial fibrillation are both considered controllable risk factors for stroke. If AFib is present during blood pressure measurement, the AFib icon is displayed flashing at the end of the triple measurement. Once 3 measurements are complete, the measurement data are shown on the display. MicroLife, a partner for people, for life.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results. Okay, so just before the break, we read our narrative piece, and now we're going to use that rubric to assess the piece. So we just started with content, so let's go ahead and look at the comments here. Right, so the reader gets a clear sense of both time and place at the beginning of the story, or in other words, setting, right? There are no physical descriptions of characters, just as one of the callers pointed out. No physical descriptions of the characters were given. Of course, the description of your characters is key or very important in your writing, right? Like you are seeing here, this is part of earning 5 marks. So if you leave it out altogether, right, so marks are going to be deducted. Also, remember, characterization brings life to your story, right? It gives us a background, it gives the person some sense, of personality, and tells us about that person, right? The characters engage in various actions. So we're now on to the point of actions here, what the characters are doing. So packing boxes, we saw that when they moved into the house, investigating, right? So when they went to the basement to investigate what had happened, right? There is no dialogue, so a scream is written in direct speech. So like I said, once you have your character in your story, dialogue naturally becomes a part of that. Remember, with your dialogue, there are 2 ways that you can do it. With dialogue, you can, start your conversation with each speaker on a new line, or you can use, or have your speakers on the same line. Either one is fine, right? It's according to whatever your teacher tells you at school, go with that format. I'm not telling you to, write using a new speaker on a new line or have them on the same line, right? It's really up to what you have been accustomed to thus far. In either cases, I do not believe that you will be penalized for them at this point in time, all right? So dialogue, of course, is missing here. That would have brought some life to your story, right? Probably pique a little interest, tell us something a bit more. There is a clear exposition which introduces a setting and a new house in paragraph 1. So remember, your exposition is your introduction to your character and your setting. And yes, we did witness that in paragraph 1 of the story. The rise in action is elaborated when the main character hears a sound and comes across a mysterious room. Right? So that there is a rise in action of the story, where things are now starting to get interesting. The tension builds to a brief, underdeveloped climax where the main character discovers a warning written in red, right, on the wall, or on a wall, right? So here now, this is the climax of the story, where you have, the child seeing this on the wall. She don't know where it comes from, where it came from. Now she's spooked by it, right? She's wondering, well, when did this happen? Was this a result of the noise that she heard, right? So that was the climax. The fall in action consists of the parents and the main character examining the room, right? So this is where they are taking the steps necessary leading to the resolution of the story, right? The resolution is not directly linked to the plot. Now, the resolution here is a bit abrupt, right, where it turns out to be a fantasy, right? So, a bit of confusion is caused there. The idea is not exactly played out as you imagine it to be. It could have been something a little more interesting, right? So that threw off the story a little bit. Just remember, guys, don't get tired in between your writing and just decide to end as this writer did, right? Be creative with your thoughts. right? So overall, despite, the couple negative critiques that we looked at here, the child was still able to get a total of 4 marks in content, right? So here we are seeing how lenient they can be with your writing. Now, do not take that for granted and say, well, I'm going to write, not to the best of my ability, right? You may not be that lucky, right? So just be very careful with that. How can you earn 5 marks in your content aspect? Fulfill all of these, right? Make sure you have what is necessary for setting, character, and plot. 1 or 2 of these were missing, but ensure that in your writing you do not have anything missing. All right, so we're going to go on to language use. Right now, what is language use pertaining to your narrative rubric? Language use is about descriptive language, right? So use of your adjectives and so on. How you use those to bring out or to enhance your writing. Figurative language. What is figurative language? Right? We just looked at that in comprehension. We touched on it a bit. Figurative language is about using the different devices, right, in your story. So if you want to use personification or metaphor, simile, right, oxymoron, the choice is yours. There's a range that you can choose from. Please, however, vary your figurative language in your writing. So, for example, in this story, the child used personification as well as a simile, right? Similar to that, you could also use whichever figurative language that you would like to. Right? Sensory detail. So we're looking at, referring to these 5 senses here: touch, taste, smell, and so on. All right, so let's look at the comments here based on descriptors. Basic descriptive language is used, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree here, right? For instance, with the word cool, right? It was a cool Sunday morning or Saturday morning, right? There are so many ways that you can start your writing that makes it so much more interesting and alive and vibrant, that somebody will actually want to keep reading. You hook the reader, right? So that introductory line is actually called a hook. Now, when we were looking at narrative pieces, I showed you about 10 different ways, that you can follow or use as a guideline to help start your writing. So if sometimes you're stuck there, you don't know what to write, use one of those starters to get you started, right? To make your writing interesting. Use some sort of figurative device. Use your sensory detail or descriptive language, right? Write something of, that will pique your reader's interest, right? So, it was one cool Saturday morning, that's a bit boring, right? A little bit on the laid back side. We don't want that. Red paint was peeling off the walls, right? So many different tones of red. Choose one, right? Be creative, right? Or even use a form of figurative language, right? To give us a little more about that red paint. Right? Be creative, just as I said. The figurative language is relevant and facilitates the narrative piece, right? So I do agree with that, right? Here we have the word creak, right? Of course, you can use any synonym, but creak is fine, right? Appeals to the sense of hearing. The next morning, my alarm clock yelled at me. So this is onomatopoeia, and here we have personification, right? My alarm clock yelled at me, right? So great use of figurative language there. Again, as curious as a cat, I tiptoed down the staircase. Here we have a simile. So here you are seeing the range of figurative language. So excellent job, well done there, writer. The sensory details facilitate the narrative by helping the reader to experience the sensations of the story. For example, it sent a chill up my spine, paint was peeling off the walls, right? Just a bit of, descriptive language there would have, carry that a step further, right? So overall, not too bad with language use, 4 marks. Right, so that's pretty good actually. So now we're up to 8 marks. So next we're going to move on to organization. Now, organization there speaks about, the sequence of your story, right? So organization is about sequencing of the plot, use of transitions and paragraphing, right? So the organization of the story overall, right? The plot is logically sequenced, right? Logically sequenced is easy for us to follow, but the transitional words here, right? We have as, right? And then next here, after, slowly, right? The next morning, right? Moving on again. Here we have the use of figurative as transition, which is fine, right? So we're seeing here that the transitions throughout this writing is a bit simple, right? So we can say simplistic use of transitions. Yes, they can be effective, but you can also, use one or two that is not very common. That is fine as well, right? So improve or enhance your writing, of course. Next, we're looking at paragraphs, right? What about the paragraphs throughout this writing? Were you able to identify, well, this is the start of a new paragraph, right? And yes, the paragraphs were indented and clearly defined, focusing on a main idea and supporting details. However, too many ideas are packed into the paragraphs. For example, this very paragraph here, right? So you could have, just select one idea and you go about with that. Remember, that lesson about paragraph writing and how a paragraph should be written using the main details, supporting details, and concluding sentence if necessary, right? Also, there were quite a number of short, simple sentences. Remember, in your writing, you have to vary your sentences. So when I say vary, we're talking about simple, complex, and compound sentences. So throughout this piece of writing here, right, we're seeing that we have some very simple sentences. For example, they were shocked. My father investigated the paint, right? I scoped the toys and my mother felt the walls. All of these are very simple sentences. Vary them, right? That creates a little bit of depth in your writing, right? So now I'm going to go to grammar and mechanics, the final part of the rubric here, which is very similar to that in your expository piece, right? In that we're looking at capitalization, use of parts of speech, punctuation, and spelling, right? There are errors in tense. So somebody pointed out that to us when they called, saying they're grammatical errors. As I look towards the remaining boxes, I sighed and collapsed on the sofa. As I look towards, if you're writing in past tense, then the entire sentence, therefore, needs to keep with that tense. Whatever tense you are writing in, of course, it must be, the same throughout your story, right? So we're looking at that. And then there are errors in punctuation. So where was that noise coming from? Now what is missing there? And I'm sure you can figure it out, a question mark. A run-on sentence is evident, right? So red paint resembling blood was on the wall and it spelled get out, leave here, just then the lights flickered off, right? So quite, a bit long, right? Going on and on. Spelling errors were detected, opened, somebody said room, squeaked, right? So just be careful. How can you avoid spelling errors? What can you do? Of course, you must know how to spell, right? Apply the rules of spelling just as we have learned. And if not, when you are reading, sometimes it's a matter that you are so quick, or you are thinking so quickly rather, you are rushing to also, and you just make that human error, right? When you reread, you check over your work, you spot them, right? And you're able to fix them. So one way to fix that, guys, check over your work, right? The errors disrupt the flow of narrative and may impede meanings at times, right? So if there are too many grammatical errors, spelling errors, punctuation marks, right, it disturbs the reading a bit, right? Especially the reader, right? You're no longer able to focus. You lose not only interest, but you don't fully understand what is being said, right? So, based on this piece that we just read here, right, let's see the overall mark for the child. So content was 4, language use 4, organization 3. So that's up to 11. And then we have 3 again, actually 4, right? So 15 marks, just as somebody correctly guessed earlier, right? So great job there. And guys, we're going to take a short break. And when you rejoin us, so Ijaz is going to come on board and he's going to share some of your pieces that you wrote and submitted on through our Edmodo class. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after these messages.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to See Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the See Results Facebook page. And you know, God willing, you'll probably be viewing this on YouTube in the not too distant future as well. All right, just a reminder that all of our content is uploaded to YouTube within a day or two after it's posted. So we basically have every episode as of up to yesterday on our YouTube channel. All right, so if it's a bit inconvenient for you, you know, to have the kids look at the videos while we're watching them on Facebook, they can go to YouTube, you know, where they are free to view it there as well. Of course, our YouTube videos have complete descriptions and titles to guide you in your studies. All right, but again, you can also view it on Facebook. It's really entirely up to you. And as Ms. Nyla said, and this ties into what I'm about to do now, you can join our Edmodo class. All right, so you visit edmodo.com, or you download the Edmodo app for your Apple, Android, or Windows devices, and you can register as a student using the code as you see there on your screen currently. And you might also, as a parent, decide to join so that you can receive updates when assignments are posted and so on. All right, so over the past few weeks, we were working on a narrative type story, all right, narrative writing. And we had asked our students to submit one paragraph at a time because, of course, you know, the school term was in session and so on, so we had to take it piece by piece. And we recently concluded all of those submissions, which would have happened on Friday at 11:59 p.m. All right, incidentally, we have 3 new assignments that were posted on the weekend and are due on this Friday. So yes, you do have work to do to occupy yourself with. We are here to help, you know, fill that gap for all of you parents and students out there. And we also are showing our previous episodes. That's from all the way back in episode 1, all the way up Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. in the morning. All right, so you can have a look at our previous videos as well on the TV. Okay, so you have a lot of options there to get involved, and because, you know, school has been cancelled for the while, our creative writing submission for this week, which is due on Friday at 11:59 p.m., it's an entire expository piece. It's the first time we are doing, or we are accepting expository or report writing, and of course you have a lot of time to do it, all right, because you're at home. You can use that time. You already received several complete essays or reports, and we also have received you know, an outstanding number of math and ELA submissions. So please go and do those. You know, some of you might be a bit confused. You go onto the page, you'll see upcoming, all right, and you go to view all classwork, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see the most recent assignments. There are some old ones that are still open. If you attempt to do them, you might see in some instances you're locked out, and some you'll be able to do it, and you'll be told, you'll be prompted that the assignment is late or overdue. That is fine, you can do what you can. And based on the announcements that we might receive from the ministry and so on, I might actually reopen all of the previous quizzes, all right, depending on how long of a wait we have again until the SEA exam. All right, so you'll have all of those previous quizzes, weeks going all the way back to November. You'll be able to do them. So you'll have lots of stuff to do. And I know that the ministry is also working on doing their learning management system stuff, and teachers are working to upload their content there as well. So you'll have many avenues to keep your mind on track, all right, as you are home. And of course, that would not only be for SEA students, but also CSEC, CAPE, and all other levels, hopefully. So what was this narrative writing piece about? So for those of you who have been viewing us all the while, you are quite familiar by now, but we have many new viewers since yesterday, all right? And, you know, we want to say welcome to you. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for getting involved. The reception has been fantastic. So the instructions read, the scenario: you were with your father standing in line to pay for your groceries at a popular supermarket. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off. Everyone looked around nervously. Write a story describing what happened and how the situation ended. So Ms. Nyla has just been going through both narrative and expository pieces for you, and she's been using the rubric to give you an idea of what is expected, all right? So there are certain things that you are that you are marked on, that being the content, you know, the character. Well, the content, sorry, is made up of setting, character, and plot. You're marked on language use, you're marked on organization, and you're marked on grammar and mechanics. All right, so you can, with those things in mind, have a look here at the first time you're doing a complete essay, student submitted. And again, this was done over a period of time, all right? So, to begin, Wowee, wowee, the deafening song the fire alarm sang nearly made the egg crate jump out of my hands. With my heart beating like 1,000 drums, I looked up at my father's worried face and questioning eyes. The busy Friday shoppers of Mr. Chow's supermarket all looked around nervously, their packed trolleys now forgotten as fear and concern wrapped its arms around them. So this is really a very attention-grabbing introductory paragraph, all right? In terms of the content, this is setting here, time and place. We are seeing that it's a Friday. It's at Mr. Chow's supermarket, all right? And in terms of plot, we are here in the exposition where we give some background into the story and again, outline our time, our place, and so on, all right? And we have already been introduced to some characters. You know, one character being, well, the child and the father, all right? They're in the supermarket. So far, so good. Everyone was in panic mode, as busy as bees trying to get to the nearest exit. Okay, so here we see another thing that you're marked on, language use, using figurative language, descriptive language, sensory details. Okay, we see a nice usage of simile here. All right, as busy as bees trying to get to the nearest exit. Frozen in shock. Okay, so our protagonist here is frozen in shock, and of course that would allude to sensory details, all right? To describe yourself as being frozen in shock, you're not literally frozen, so there's a bit of, hyperbole there, okay? But not completely hyperbole, because you can be frozen, all right? I looked blindly at the chaotic scene before me as my smoke-filled eyes burned and watered my cold cheeks. All right, so again here we are seeing descriptive language, chaotic scene, adjectives there being used. My smoke-filled eyes burned and watered my cool cheeks. All right, so this is a lot of positive use or language use here in terms of descriptive, figurative, and sensory details already. And we are here now in terms of plot in the rising action, okay? And the clanging of the fire engine siren. We just switch back to the essay. The clanging of the fire engine siren jolted my senses just as my father grabbed my hand. All right. Choking on thick black smoke, we hastily headed for the exit and ran into the welcoming comfort of safety. Okay, so this is really mature writing, and I know some of you will be familiar with some of these paragraphs because we did not use the same students every week, but this is a student that would have featured before, all right? Not quite sure which paragraphs would have been there, but they definitely, some of them were. All right, Marcano Street was abuzz with excitement, so we're getting some more details here in terms of the setting, as the firemen dragged their slithering hoses into the burning building. So this is wonderful imagery here. All right, we definitely touched on this one on the program before. So likening the hoses that the firemen are using to snakes. All right, because snakes slither, although it's not expressly said there. When you think of the word slither, you naturally think about a snake moving along on the ground or perhaps on a tree, all right? So curious onlookers and shoppers gathered into the huge parking lot, taking in the horrific scene. Suddenly, and again, this is something here in terms of organization. You see here this word suddenly being a transition word, all right? So that's very nice storytelling there. A high-pitched wail pierced the tensed atmosphere. A frail, long-haired woman with tear-filled eyes came running towards one of the firemen, screaming, My daughter is still inside. So here we see physical description. All right, this again is in content under character. You will be awarded marks for proper use of physical description. So this is a nice description here of the woman that's screaming. And we also begin to see dialogue. All right, so we want to see that. We also want to see action. So much of what is expected here of you as a writer in the SCA exam is being done. It's being achieved quite wonderfully. All right. So my daughter is still inside. The loud cackling sound of the raging fire could now be heard. Please, she begged, you must save her. Everyone stared at her in utter disbelief. All right. So here again, we are getting sensory details. You know, you can imagine putting yourself in that situation where perhaps your loved one is trapped somewhere, they are in danger. All right. So you're going to be, you know, quite perturbed. So the fire officer immediately went off to inform the fire marshal. Now here, you're going to be marked on capitalization, right? This falls under grammar and mechanics. And a fire marshal, you know, we're just here to educate, and we appreciate all of your submissions and so on, and we don't want anyone ever feeling embarrassed. You know, this is all about learning, and this is really a wonderful, wonderful essay. But of course, we need to show you where you go wrong sometimes. So a fire marshal is a common noun, just like police officer, fireman, and so on, right? So there's no need there to capitalize. Notice a few words before we are speaking about the fire officer, right? While shoppers try to console the hysterical mother, okay, very good use of adjectives there again. I walked around trying to find my dad in the crowded parking lot. Dad, I shouted, but the noisy atmosphere drowned my words. As I approached the front of the supermarket, the frenzied shouts of onlookers caught my attention. To my amazement, I saw my dad running into the building. With a heart racing, I frantically ran up to the group. Dad, I screamed, just as the black puffy smoke swallowed him. So here we're seeing wonderful use of personification. All right? So we're actually imagining the smoke almost as something living. Dad running into that melee and the smoke swallowing him. All right? Dumbstruck, and again we have to highlight here that in terms of grammar mechanics, you'll also be awarded marks or deducted marks based on your spelling. All right, and so here there's a B here missing in the word dumbstruck. Now, the markers, they will show their discretion. All right, so if you have a paragraph, an essay, and overall it's very excellently done, and you have one or two errors here and there, they may not necessarily take out an entire mark. They are going to mark it holistically as a matter of fact, but they are guided by the rubric and the different things that you are required to have. But you know, sometimes you can have an essay and we see it, you know, where it fulfills the requirements, it has elements of the storytelling that we desire. However, it just doesn't have that extra oomph about it, right? That believability, that thing that pulls you in as a reader. Of course, a marker is going to be delighted by that, you know, and perhaps if you have some minor errors there, you may not lose, you know, full marks just for a little error here or there. All right, so keep that in mind. But of course, you want to mitigate and minimize all errors that you could possibly commit. So make sure, take your time, check over your spelling and your punctuation. Make sure you've capitalized the correct words. All right, so we carry on. So dumbstruck, everyone stared at the burning building as time dragged its feet. Wow, excellently said again. So here we are personifying time as being someone, a person that is dragging its feet. That means that, you know, time is moving along slowly. You know, if your mom or dad ask you to do something and you really don't want to do it, eventually you may get up and may walk slowly and drag your feet, hoping that mom, dad, big brother, auntie, granny, whoever jumps in and saves you and does whatever chore you are supposed to do, right? So we are likening time to dragging its feet right now. I mean, this is a student that's preparing for SEA, right? So we really do, you know, commend such excellent writing. This is very, very good stuff. So I closed my teary eyes and began to pray, but bolted them open when I heard whoops of cheers and applause. The vision before me soothed my soul. So a lot of sensory details here, a lot of sensory language. My dad, the superhero, was walking out of the building with a little bright-eyed girl in his arms. The girl's mother bolted towards them and took her daughter into her arms. "Mommy, I'm okay. I hid in the washroom when I saw the smoke," she told her mother. All right, so we're back here with some very nice dialogue. "Next time, don't leave and go running off," the mother cried as she hugged her daughter tightly. And these here are dialogue tags. All right, so it's not just bluntly stating what is being said, but you're giving some feeling to it, adding some context. All right, and when you read dialogue there with those dialogue tags that are descriptive, it adds an extra element there in the story in terms of, harnessing the interest of the reader and keeping the interest of the reader. Ultimately, what you want to do is to get your reader to put themselves in the position of the protagonist, all right? So this is very good, or at least to be there, as a bystander, taking it all in and appreciating everything that's happening around, okay? So she hugged her daughter tightly. Luckily for her, the fire wasn't in that area, and I heard her shouts, my father informed the child's mother. So the father is explaining here now, this is good storytelling. How is it that he was able to identify that this person was trapped? All right, so again, very good stuff in terms of organization and sequencing of plot. All right, everything is being explained and, is being tied together nicely with this dialogue now. So "Thank you for saving my daughter's life," the mother replied. My dad smiled. I hugged him, thankful that he was safe. Then everyone, even the fire officers, all gathered around to congratulate him. The fiery embers finally went to sleep as the firemen completely extinguished the fire. Again, excellent use here of personification. All right, the fiery embers that you'd see rising from a fire, from a flame, from a burning heap of rubbish, from a burning building. All right, they went to sleep. Did they actually go to sleep? No, but when she says that, our author, we definitely know what she means, all right? And it's said in a very powerful way. So the bakery section suffered the most damage, and the fire marshal informed the store owner, Mr. Chow, who had arrived some time ago, that the fire had started from a gas leak in one of the ovens. By this time, the heavily crowded parking lot had a few people remaining. "Ready to go home?" my father asked. So thinking of the day's events and my protesting stomach, I gladly answered, "Oh yes, I am." All right, thinking of the day's events and my protesting stomach. I mean, our author here, I really don't have words to describe how nice that phrase is, all right? And you're thinking, you're drained, you're exhausted, and on top of it, you're hungry. So you want to go home, all right? Your stomach is protesting. So a lot of us can identify with that. You have a long, hard day. You just want to go home and eat, that lovely food that your mom, grandmom, or whoever is preparing, has prepared for you, all right? So we can really identify with that. So the burnt stench in the atmosphere filled my nostrils as I looked at the blackened building with wisps of smoke dancing in the air. All right, this is Caitlin Sunarine, and I will leave it up to you to fathom what mark this essay deserves. I think it's really as near to perfection as you probably can get for an SCA level student. All right, and this is a standard 4 student, mind you. So, congratulations to all of our, viewers and all of our Edmodo class members who have submitted. You'll see more of your work read on Thursday when we have creative writing once more. And if you write a great report over this weekend, your piece might be featured on the program next week as well. All right, so make sure and get on edmodo.com, register, and start working, people. It has been my pleasure, to be here with you today. I really enjoy reading these stories, even though, my emphasis is really on the mathematics. I love to read, and I want all of our youth in the nation to get to love reading as well. All right? So thank you for viewing. I have been Sir Ijaz. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.